Hello there, welcome to BBC Newsline on a significant afternoon. A deal which sees power sharing return to Stormont has been agreed by the DUP. Its leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, says the agreement is not perfect, but is a good outcome, he said, for Northern Ireland. It was given the thumbs up late last night at a private meeting of senior DUP members, and it's now emerged someone in that room was leaking details of what was being discussed using a wire. Loyalist activist Jimmy Bryson was then able to post on social media what Sir Geoffrey was saying. Well, our political editor, Enda McClafferty, is at Stormont for us this lunchtime. Enda, we'll get to the issue of the mole in just a moment, but let's start with the deal. Is Stormont coming back?
Well, Declan, after 2 years of stagnation here at Stormont, it feels today as if we're fast-tracking our way back to devolution, and there is every possibility that we will have MLAs back in the Assembly chamber beside me here by Friday or indeed by Saturday. All made possible, as you say, by that decision last night by the DUP executive to endorse Sir Geoffrey Donaldson's decision to end its boycott and accept a deal which was on the table by the government. Now, he said it was a decisive endorsement. We don't know if it was a decisive vote, because we do know there are still voices within the DUP pretty unhappy at the route that the party is now going down. That said, there's a real sense today in Stormont that things are starting to change, and change quickly here. We've just heard from many of the party leaders in the Great Hall behind us, and a real movement now to get the wheels of government back in action once more, 2 years on from whenever this stalemate started. As our political correspondent, Jane McCormick now reports.
After months of will they, won't they, at 1 o'clock this morning, we finally got the answer.
The party has concluded that, subject to the binding commitments between the Democratic Unionist Party and the UK government being fully and faithfully delivered as agreed, including the tabling and passing of new legislative measures in Parliament and final agreement on a timetable, the package of measures in totality does provide a basis for our party to nominate members to the Northern Ireland Executive.
Deal done. It followed a 5-hour meeting with the DUP executive, the blow-by-blow account of which Loyalist blogger Jamie Bryson claimed to be live tweeting, with help from one DUP member understood to have worn a wire.
Senior people in the DUP felt so exercised about this and felt that this was such a defining moment that they took the step that they did.
So these were senior people that helped you mean?
Well, I wasn't into them, Joel, so...
I think people you know who helped you.
Yes, and I
So you're describing them as senior people within the DUP who helped you do what you did last night?
Yes.
While those unnamed DUP members for now remain in the shadows, here at Stormont, parties were only too happy to put on record their thoughts about returning to work.
I think the next number of days are going to be crucial to get us to the actual real live point where we actually go into that chamber and nominate First and Deputy First Minister, put ministers into positions, and let's get down to business. The public deserve no less.
I mean, of all the things that are embarrassing standing here this morning, I think the length of time it's taken is probably the least embarrassing of the spectacle we've seen unfold in recent days.
He is accepting the protocol. He is accepting that GB, under the protocol, is to be treated in trade terms as a foreign country, and that all these EU laws are continued to apply. That is a climb down by any means, and a climb down of significant and adverse constitutional consequences.
If some have already cast their verdict on the deal, the rest of us will have to wait a bit longer to see it.
We have been able to achieve quite a vast array of decent improvements to make sure our internal market works properly as it should do, and you'll hopefully be able to see those tomorrow.
There have been countless false dawns in this process, but the sun is now slowly rising once more on power sharing. Jane McCormack, BBC Newsline, Stormont.
And is still with us from Stormont. And are we picking up any more detail about what's actually in this deal?
Well, the short answer is, Declan, we don't know for sure, because this deal is not going to be published until tomorrow, and some DUP critics say that is convenient because, of course, it allows the party to get out front and centre today, being able to put its take on what has been agreed with the government without journalists and indeed other politicians being able to scrutinise in detail what's in the paper and also matching it against what the DUP is saying today. But it was also interesting today listening to Sir Geoffrey Donaldson talking about the fact, as far as he's concerned, the Irish Sea border is gone. There will be zero checks checks, zero paperwork on goods travelling from Great Britain and planning to stay in Northern Ireland. If that's happened, that is significant because that will involve a change to the Windsor framework, something London, of course, has been telling us all along is not going to happen. We have to wait and see the detail of that because, of course, if it's not the case, then Jeffrey Donaldson's critics will accuse him of spinning. If it is the case, well, that is a significant move.
Let's talk then about this mole, the leak from the meeting last night. What does it tell us about what is happening within the DUP that this could occur?
Well, a very embarrassing episode, I would have thought, for the DUP at such a critical meeting for the party. The fact that somebody walked into that room last night wearing a wire, positioning themselves in the room where they could be listening to the leader and translating what the leader is through a live feed out to the loyalist activist Jamie Bryson, who then of course ran it on his Twitter account. Not a good look for the party, and it shows the length that somebody was prepared to go to in a sense undermine the party leadership last night, to try and derail in a sense what the party was trying to do. So Jeffrey Donaldson said he felt betrayed by the person responsible, and he says that person let down the party, not just the party leadership. As for Jamie Bryson, he says he has no regrets, and he says it was a senior member of the DUP who wore that wire.
Well, finally then, before you go, people might well be wondering, and is there a timeline? Would you hazard a guess?
Well, it looks as if the pieces are starting to fall into place. The government, Chris Heaton-Harris, telling us today that they're going to bring forward legislation tomorrow. At the same time, of course, they're going to publish the details of this deal. We expect that legislation to go through Parliament on Thursday, and then we're looking then at a possible sitting of the Assembly on Friday or possibly Saturday. Of course, the Speaker will have to be notified, and then he has to give some notice before he brings the Assembly members back here. But it's moving at a very fast pace, Declan.
Enda, thank you very much. And our programme at 6:30 will come live from Stormont. Join us then for more details of the day's developments. In other news,